What is up, all of my beautiful, amazing people? Welcome back to another episode of FML Talk. I am coming to you for the second week from the beautiful island of Hawaii, and I am so excited for today's episode because we are bringing on our second character from Eat, Pray, FML. I cannot wait for you guys to meet her, so sit back, grab a cocktail, and here the fuck we go. Welcome to FML Talk.
Oh my god.
Wait, how old was the other girl?
19. Can you believe that shit?
Hey, this is Gabrielle Stone.
Good book?
He did what?
48 hours?
What a dick.
Yeah, but have you seen all the photos on her Instagram?
And this is FML Talk.
Oh, no, she didn't.
So before I bring on Miss, you guys know her as Mallory, but her real name is Melanie from Barcelona. And before I bring her on to do this interview that we had so much freaking fun recording, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about what the hell has been going on in my world. So if you're with me on Instagram, you know that I have been writing away at this second book. And it's been a fucking gnarly experience, you guys. I wrote Eat, Pray, FML in 3 months flat. And it just poured out of me. And it was, an easy experience, all things considered, when you talk about writing a book. This second book is not the same. So I always said I wasn't going to put pressure on myself to finish it or to write it in a certain amount of time, but I've been writing it for a little over a year now. And, on and off, I would take months at a time to where I wasn't writing, and then I would write a lot some months. And I'm in the final home stretch. I can confidently say that I will be coming home from this trip with an official first draft to start with my editor, which is wild. But it's been a really intense process for me. Not only has it been ripping open some really old wounds and deep diving back into relationships that were painful for me, that I'm no longer, in that same hurt from. But it also has been a little scary for me, because I'm very happy in my life right now, in my relationship right now, and I protect that happiness really fiercely. It's important to me. And there are things that I have to write about in this book to, be truthful and be authentic. And I feel like I have a responsibility to my readers to really, as I did with the first one, put everything out there, in the way that it happened, and not sugarcoat any of it and not hold any of it back. And some of those things are painful for not only me, but for the people that are in my life and the people that are going to read about it. And it's really hard. It's hard not only to feel shitty about some of the choices and decisions you've made in your life, but then to also, feel hurt and sadness around the fact that it's going to affect other people that you love and you would never want to feel hurt or sadness. And something really interesting happened to me the past couple nights that I want to talk about. So I went and rented my own little Airbnb here on the island for 3 nights to kind of give Tay some daddy-daughter time, and I had found this spot that was reminded me of Thailand. It was this Zen haven, and I saw it on Airbnb, and I was like, I have to go fucking right there. It's a must. So I dove into the last big chunk I'm working on. And it's a chunk of time that isn't as recent, and that I haven't really thought about in a long time. It's kind of like the middle portion of the book. And I started going through old conversations and digging in my emails and finding all of the screenshots I sent myself, because I knew there was no way I would fucking remember what was actually being said. And as I sat there reading through some of these conversations with with certain people, certain individuals. Um, I had an entirely different experience reading it now as opposed to when I was having the conversation at that time. So not only has it been a couple years, obviously, time wise, but it's also, I'm in a completely different space in my life. I've healed, so many things have happened with that person and, with different people, and it really jolted me for a moment because I was reading it with this new healed and peaceful and confident perspective now that I'm removed from the situation. And I was sitting there reading it, and I almost got not almost, I got angry because I was like, holy shit, man, this is not fucking okay. Like, none of this was okay. And it really triggered me in a way to know that I was not only in that situation, but I was allowing all of it to happen. And I know that my girlfriends on the outside, we talked about this briefly on the love bombing episode. All of my girlfriends on the outside were like, hello, Gabrielle. Can we come back to reality? Like, if this situation was reversed and you were looking in on us in a dynamic like this, you'd be like, bitch, what are you doing? Get it together and get the fuck out. Like, not cool. But again, when you're in it and you're submersed in it and it's consuming you, it's almost like you have these fucked up goggles on that are not allowing you to see what is so clearly not okay. So anyways, I'm sitting in my Airbnb and I'm reading through these messages and I'm like, fuck, man. Like, no wonder this particular situation took me so long to get through, because it was like anytime I would take 4 or 5 steps forward, these types of conversations would slowly reel me back 2 or 3 steps. And it kept me in this mental limbo for so long. And it really made me stop and think as I was writing, because I was like, fuck, I don't want to feel anger in general, period, but I don't want to feel anger towards this person. I'm thankful for the experience, and I know that it all played out the way that it was supposed to, because, like, look where I'm sitting right now talking to you. But I had to honor the fact that I was feeling angry, and I was like, this is fucking not okay. So I end up writing this chapter, and I like wanted to throw shit across the room because it was just so frustrating. Not only was I frustrated at the individual I was having the conversation with for being like, how did you not see that this was kind of fucked up of you? But I was frustrated with myself for allowing it to go on for so long, for not choosing myself and seeing my worth and my value and demanding that. And I think that's so important. I get a lot of DMs and questions about, I'm in this relationship and, like, how do I make him do this? Or, we're really struggling with this and I just wish he would A, B, and C. And it's like, guys, you should only have to say what you need once. Like, the big things, like the really big non-negotiable things that are, your worth and your value and your needs and your love language, you should only have to say those once. If they're doing the bare fucking minimum just to keep the door open, just to keep you as a possibility, and just to keep you on that line, it's not fucking okay. If you're not with someone that is showing up for you day in and day out and proving to you that they want to be in your lives, it's not right. It's not the right fit. It's not what you deserve. It's not going to work in a long run situation. My relationship now has showed me how subpar every other relationship I've been in has been in the past. And I feel so lucky to experience that, because I would never now settle for anything less than that, because I know it exists, because I know I deserve it, and because I see that people are capable of giving you not only everything you want, but really truly showing up for you on a soul level and being like, I know your triggers, I'm not going to fuck with them. I know what makes you happy, and I'm going to give that to you. And bottom line, for my girls that are dealing with, and men, for anyone who's dealing with the, oh, he left me on red, or he doesn't call me back, or, I don't really know if he wants to be with me, and you're like trying to read into their text messages like you're a fucking detective. If he wanted to be with you, he would be there. I posted this video with this audio that hit me in the fucking face. And of course, I saw it right when I was writing this chapter and dealing with all these unwanted emotions that were coming up. And I want to repeat the audio in it to you guys because it is so fucking important. And if someone would have shook me and put this audio in my face, a couple years ago, I think I would have probably made some different decisions. So I want to share that with you guys now. He may love you. He probably does. He probably thinks about you all the time. But that isn't what matters. What matters is what he's doing about it. And what he's doing about it is nothing. And if he's doing nothing, you most certainly shouldn't do anything. You deserve someone who goes out of their way to make it obvious that they want you in your life. Straightforward, healthy love. So, on this hump day of a Wednesday, after this frickin' new moon, and I don't know if y'all were feeling the effects like I was, but it was a fucking doozy. I want you to take that with you. Don't fucking settle. And remember that you are beyond worth it. With that being said, without further ado, I am so fucking excited for you guys to meet Miss Melanie. You first met her as Mallory in Barcelona. She is such a fucking gem. We had so much fun reminiscing and recording this episode. So let's hop on a plane and take a trip back to Barcelona, shall we? I'm so excited because we have one of the, quote, characters from the book, which I know people are so excited to hear from, and I'm so excited that she's here and I get to see her beautiful face. This is technically Mallory from Eat, Pray, FML, but her real life name is Melanie, and welcome to FML Talk, girl!
Thanks so much for having me. I cannot believe that this is a thing now. This is incredible.
I know, it's really wild because you and I randomly met on a solo trip, which you do a lot of, and lo and behold, a couple years later, you're like a character in a book, and that must be you.
It is surreal, to be honest.
What did it feel like when you read it for the first time?
Oh, half of it was really exciting to relive our adventure through Barcelona. Part of it was definitely a little cringy, the shenanigans that we got into, but it's a really nice little keepsake now.
It's like a cool memory that we all kind of have now. And I remember when, I was really open with people when I was traveling, and I was like, look, this is what I'm going through. This is my story, and I'm writing a book about it. So if we're hanging out, you're probably going to be in it.
The funny thing is, I don't even know if you remember, we met, your first night, we all went out. And then you and I went out to brunch the next day to a super...
Brunch?
No, but you didn't even tell me about the book then. We had a whole brunch and we bonded, and you were like, I'm going to go get my nails done. I'm going to do this. And then later that evening, we were with Jacob and Chris, and you're like, oh yeah, by the way, I didn't tell you. This crazy shit happened to me, and I'm writing a book about it.
Well, that's a testament to the fact that we were having a legitimate girls' brunch and really bonding. Because I remember when we sat down to that brunch, you were telling me about why you were even on this trip, and I was so happy to meet someone that was my age because I felt like all of the people at the hostels that I was meeting was like 23, 22, 24. And I was like, God, I'm a fucking grandma.
Right there with you. It's definitely hard to hostel hop across Europe in the summer and not feel ancient.
Yeah, for sure, dude. Okay, so let's like take a trip down memory lane to start this episode off properly. You and I met in Barcelona. I'll never forget. It was the first night that I was going out with the hostel group. So if you guys don't know hostels or haven't traveled to them, a lot of them do family dinners and then they'll take you bar hopping and do like group, you know, bonding things and excursions and whatnot. So we had all had a family dinner and I had met Chris and Jacob. And then when we were walking to the first bar, I bumped into you and you were this bright, bubbly, like light. And I was like, oh, I like this energy. And you immediately told me your age and where you were from. And I was like, nice. Like, this is a good situation.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I remember, you know, I had already been in that hostel a couple days and it already had turned over. It seemed like the whole hostel was brand new, but instantly from that night, it was like this, we all hit it off and then we formed this squad, this, you know, crew essentially that we just like literally were inseparable for days.
Totally.
It was incredible.
And it was so much fun. We went out that first night. We ended up at some, they call them bars, but they're really not. They're like clubs. And we all ended up, you know, a couple, maybe more than a couple drinks in, dancing in the middle of the dance floor. And it was like, we rolled back into the hostel at like 6 a.m. At least I did that night. I don't know about anybody else.
I think every night. I mean, I know you hardly slept the entire time, but like, you know, most nights at least I'd get back at 5 or 6 and sleep half the day and then like try to rally on. But I don't know how you did it.
We're like, you and I were like not the youngins on the trip, and everyone that's
right now
that's older is like, you guys are so stupid, you're very young. I get it, but like we were not sleeping. It was a lot.
It's so funny too, because I would never say that like in the States I'm a big club person. I'm more of like a beer garden or like a nice cocktail kind of vibe. And when I was there, I was going to all these clubs and posting all these Instagrams, and my sister called me and she was just like, are you a club person now? And I was like, no, I'm just Eurotrash. Come on.
Oh my God, I love it. I love it. And okay, and your sister, who we have to give a shout out to. So I was on my TikTok one day and this video pops up of someone mentioning me in their video. So I go and watch it, and someone was duetting me with my audio of like telling my story. And I'm watching this video and this beautiful little blonde girl is like looking back at me and she's like, the words on the screen are like, and then you went to Barcelona and met my sister. I'm Mallory's sister. And I was like, oh my God, this is so fucking cool and so full circle. She's adorable, dude.
Yeah, she's 23 and such a fangirl and found my copy of your book and like could not put it down, and it spent an entire day making that TikTok. So I'm sure she'll be really jazzed that you just brought her up.
And it's so, it must be really weird for her too to read about her sister as a character in a book.
I'm sure. If anything, I'm sure she's jealous and she wants her own Euro trip, you know?
One day, everyone needs their own Euro trip. So
yeah.
We end up coming home from the club that night. Then was Brunch and Cake, that amazing little hole-in-the-wall restaurant that Chris had recommended we go to, and it was so worth it. I'll never forget, like, the cook behind the open-air kitchen, like, dancing to reggae and stuff, and it was so, just, like, the whole ambiance. It put LA restaurants to shame.
And the food was gorgeous. Like, it wasn't just good, it was beautifully, you know, styled. And
yeah, it was like art on plate. And then that night we went to the soccer game, which you weren't originally going to go to.
No, I mean, you know, it's one of those things. I definitely tried to keep somewhat of a tight budget, you know, in my travels, and it wasn't really on my radar, but you were kind of like, oh, this is something I've always wanted to do. And I was like, when in Rome, you know, why the fuck not? And that night ended up being incredible, like so fun.
The energy of being in that stadium is something I'll never forget. And we didn't know it because we were just like, oh my God, let's go to a soccer game in Barcelona. How cool. It was one of the top games
Like I get messages all the time and DMs from guys, and they're like, "Oh my God, do you know what game you were at? Like, do you know that you got to watch the best player, Fessy, score 6 goals, and how lucky you are?"
Yeah, no, absolutely. I wouldn't say I'm like the biggest sports fan, but like I like beer and I like to cheer are my general rules. And I was actually shocked that like alcohol's not allowed in the stadiums there, but I guess it's because the fans get too wild. But it was really cool to be a part of that.
It was amazing. And I remember that we had bought our tickets separate from Chris and Jacob. So
Right.
we were sitting in a totally different section. And then we were like, well, there's not that many people here. Let's sneak on down. And we ended up linking up with them and then scooting up even more so we could get like as close as we possibly could.
Well, yeah, because we went up to like the edge of that level and we're like, we're just going to take a picture. And then like there were so many empty seats. We're like, might as well sit down. Like, okay.
It was amazing. That was definitely like a highlight for me in Barcelona and of the whole trip. Like it was just the energy of it was so freaking cool. And then the last 2 nights, I think were very much the same of going out and wild partying with the Torontos who came in kind of on the end of the 2 days and like jumped right into our group. But we were rolling to dinner with like 20 people. We had like a
Oh my gosh.
full crew. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, it started like I feel like 5 to 7 people, and then somehow we had like a crew of like 20 to 30 people deep. Like it just was, are you coming out? You're coming out. We're all going. Like you better come. Like let's go. You know?
Yeah, it was like a total community thing, and it was so nice to feel that because not every hostel's like that. Sometimes you're like kind of bouncing around doing your own thing. Maybe there's like a couple people that you'll go see stuff with, but this was a massive group of people. So tell me, before we met in Barcelona, you had like a whole before and after on this trip. So tell me what prompted you to take this grand Europe trip and where did you go along the way?
Yeah, so I had been living in San Francisco working for a tech startup that actually went under, and I went through like a mid-20s existential crisis of like, is this what I want to do with my life and what do I want to do, and like kind of came to this conclusion until I really figured it out that like life is short and I'm young and I should travel. Yeah. So I saved up a bunch of money and planned a 3-month backpacking trip across Europe with the end goal of moving to Australia. I had signed up for the working holiday visa. So I ended up doing 3 months in Europe, a year in Australia, and 3 months in Southeast Asia for a year and a half consecutively, which was a wild adventure, and I miss it every single day. But before I'd gotten to Barcelona, I started in Israel. I hopped to Greece. I went pretty much all the way north from there, Croatia, Italy, Slovenia, Czechia, Hungary, Germany, Netherlands, Belgium, and then Spain. So I had already gone like a good chunk of the way, I would say, met tons of people, traveled with friends, traveled with family, did a lot of solo traveling. But I totally agree with you that Barcelona crew was like none other. And I wasn't even planning on staying in Barcelona that long, but just was having such a great time that I was like, okay, I'll stay.
Talk to anyone from that group?
Here and there, I've got people like Rhonda or, every now and then like Chris or Jacob will comment on an Instagram or people reaching out for, travel recs or anything like that.
Yeah, you're the go-to person to get travel advice from. When I was planning my Asia trip, you were a godsend to me. Rhonda actually came to my book release party and she showed up with a book and was like, dude, this is fucking wild. And we both kind of just looked at each other like, holy shit, this is so weird. And the fact that she lives literally 15 minutes away from me in LA and we meet each other in Barcelona across the world. And here we are.
The world is so small. It really is.
Where did you go to after Barcelona? Or was that when you went to Australia?
No. So from Barcelona, I hit a couple more cities in Spain. So I did Valencia, Granada, and Sevilla. Mm-hmm. Then I went to Portugal. And from Portugal, I flew to Australia. And actually, it was Carly that we met in the hostel in Barcelona that really, really helped me. And she was definitely pivotal in my life because I was like, okay, I'm going to move to a new country. I don't know the slang. I don't know the neighborhoods. I don't know, they do rent by week there instead of by month, all these like little nitty gritty things. And she really sat me down and was just like, okay, this is what you need to know. These are the neighborhoods that are posh. These are the neighborhoods that are cool, and really got me situated, and definitely made my life a lot easier when I got there.
Did you
So
go
that was great.
straight to Australia from Europe, or did you go home to kind of like gather stuff?
No, I booked the cheapest possible flight, which was Portugal to London to Abu Dhabi to Melbourne.
Oh
It was
God, girl.
insane. But I made it.
That like
And after that, I can travel anywhere.
right. You're like, I can handle anything now. Was that like a total culture shock to move to a different country for a year?
Yeah, I would say everything there is same, but different. I didn't expect it. It's a Commonwealth. It's got very deep British roots, so there were a lot of things that were shocking in that kind of way. But Melbourne's a really young, hip city. I had a great time, and half the fun was like really immersing myself in their culture. So I was able to kind of travel in a way while staying put, and make some more money after burning through most of my savings in Europe, and was able to travel again after that. So yeah, I had a really great experience.
Where did you travel to, like when you were in Australia? You did like little trips and stuff?
Yeah. So I lived in Melbourne, so I mostly stayed kind of in the southern bit of the country. So, big road trip out to the Great Ocean Road and saw the 12 Apostles, went up to Sydney and Byron Bay. I also traveled to New Zealand, did a big road trip around the Southern Island, which was amazing. I didn't make it to Tasmania, but that's still on my list, so I got to go back. And if I could do it again, I definitely would go to Perth and a little more.
I've heard great things about Perth. A lot of the people that I met in Southeast Asia were like, Perth's where you should go. It was like
the funny thing is though, Australia's about the same size as America. Like Perth is equivalent to California compared to Florida, right? That's where I would say I was. But more Australians have been all around the world than they've been to Perth.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break because I have some news. You guys, I'm so excited when Thrive Cosmetics reached out to partner with me. It was such a no-brainer because I had already been using and loving their products. I not only love them on a makeup level, I love what the company stands for. Not only are they 100% vegan and cruelty-free, Thrive Cosmetics really gives back, which is what I love about this company. For every product purchased, Thrive Cosmetics helps women in need by donating funds and products to help them fucking thrive. I started when one of my good girlfriends had recommended their award-winning mascara to me, but I have since branched out and am loving so many products in their line. They're all super high quality and formulated without any parabens, sulfates, or phthalates. And because I love this company so much and have now partnered with them, I have a discount for you guys. You can go to thrivecosmetics.com/FML Talk and get 15% off your first order. I promise you guys are going to love these products just as much as I do. So go to thrivecosmetics.com/FML Talk and get 15% off your first purchase. Because obviously here on FML Talk, we fucking thrive. All right, let's get back to the show.
Oh, how funny.
I guess it's pretty expensive, and they're like, oh, I already live here, like might as well, go somewhere else. And I mean, I met Australians in every country that I went to. Like they get around, and they're always having a good time.
I feel like you meet so many Australians and New Zealanders in hostels. Like those are the two. And from the Netherlands. I met a lot of people from the Netherlands.
So many Dutchies. That's right.
Yeah.
But that's the amazing thing about, their culture is like they are on islands, on the other side of the world, and they really encourage their young people to get out and see the world and experience different things. And I wish America was more like that.
I was going to say, which I wish I would have had more of in my younger years and didn't get started so damn late.
Yeah, exactly.
So after you were living in Australia, then you went straight to Southeast Asia, or did you go home after that?
Nope. I did a consecutive.
You were just like, bye home, I'm gone.
Well, I just felt like, if I went home, I'd probably get stuck there, and like I had the momentum, so like might as well keep it up. And it's a long way, it was a 5-hour flight to jump from Australia to Bali, so I might as well do that than another 20 hours home. So
take me through your Southeast Asia trip.
Okay, so went to Bali, which, I would say is like their version of Mexico. Like everyone goes to Bali from Australia. It's very very relaxing, as you know from your own experience. Bali's a magical place. So Bali to Malaysia, Malaysia to northern Thailand, where I did Chiang Mai, Pai, and I actually stayed in a cave lodge up by the border of Myanmar, which was insane.
Amazing.
Yeah, then met some friends in the Philippines and went back to Thailand to do island hopping, and then went to Vietnam for 6 weeks.
Oh my God. Like literally a dream. And then when you left San Francisco, was your plan just your Europe trip and then Australia? Did you know you were going to do Asia after?
Yeah, I really packed up my life. I wasn't planning on going back to San Francisco no matter how long I was kind of going to be abroad. And I didn't have any expectations of how long I'd be away. I just knew that like I could travel around Europe and have a great time, and then the way to extend it would be to go to Australia. And so I had that set up already. And then once I got there, I was like, well, this is great. How do I keep going? And the visa in Australia is only a year, so I got kicked out of the country. So I'm like, okay, like let's go more, And honestly, I did teach English for a bit in Vietnam, which is pretty lucrative as a native English speaker. Part of me is like, wow, should I have stayed longer there, or should I have moved to another country and done a different working holiday visa? But, all in all, 1.5 years is pretty great. And, I'm so thankful for my experience, especially right now, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that I did it when I did it and not a second later, because who knew that this would be a thing. And I'm glad that I did it without any global pandemics or like major catastrophes. So.
Sure. I know so many people that like have their trips canceled or cut short, and like I so feel for them. I got my Asia trip in just in time.
Exactly.
I went in November, December of 2019. And again, you helped me so much on that. And I was fighting myself because it's in my nature to want to like overplan and book everything and be like, let's research a bunch. And all I did was talk to you because I knew you had done an extensive trip there. And I talked a lot to Chris because I knew he had done a trip there as well. And I got kind of like you should probably go to these places in Vietnam. And that was it. And I booked my ticket there, and that was all that I had. And it was so good that I did that because I ended up being in Vietnam for a week when I was supposed to be there for 2 weeks. And I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to go to Thailand, and got on a plane, went to Thailand, probably had the most magical 1.5 weeks of my life in Thailand before I went over to Bali. And it was just a testament to how solo travel can be so freeing when you don't have like people weighing you down or traveling with you or other, commitments. You can just really pick up and go. And it's so freeing.
Absolutely. And I love it. And I feel like because in the States we get so little time off, and, it's not really part of our culture, people do feel the need to like plan everything. So they only have a week to actually go 7 places, and when you are traveling by yourself, you have that flexibility. You don't have to compromise with someone else, and you can really trust your gut. If you love a place, stay longer, like I did in Barcelona. If you're not feeling it, find a new place to go. You don't have to stay. Like, absolutely, see more.
Totally. So do you, out of Asia, what was your like happy place?
Vietnam, hands down. I mean, I spent the most time there. It is intense. Like, don't get me wrong. The culture is so full and rich. The food is incredible. I mean, half the reason I travel is for food. Like, I would love to be Anthony Bourdain and travel the world and get paid to do it, but I haven't figured out how to be lucrative with that yet. But I taught English there. I went all up and down the country. I also ended up on some weird excursions that I had no plans, but I met someone in a hostel that was like, let's go on the back of the motorbikes to these locals and they'll take us all around. Like, okay, why not? Yeah, that is definitely my happy place. And even though I was there 6 weeks, I definitely would go back, and there's a lot more to see.
Favorite place in Vietnam?
Yeah, probably Hanoi. That's where I spent the most amount of time.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of like the hub where people stay, and then they'll do like day or kind of weekend trips off of that.
Exactly. There's so much insane nature nearby. There's Ha Long Bay, there's Ninh Binh, there's Sapa, the mountains in the north. And
Ninh Binh was one of my favorites. I don't know if I've ever been to a place that was more beautiful than Ninh Binh.
It is so magical and just like misty and moody and green.
Yes. Yes. And you
gorgeous.
went to Thai, which is like my happy place. That's my Asia happy place. I want to go back to Thailand for a month and do a week in Pai and then island hop for the rest of the time. But I mean, that place gave my heart so much peace. And I always say that when you do big trips, your heart you leave your heart in one place. And for Europe, it was Barcelona for me. And for Asia, it was Pi. And I could live there. I literally could live there.
It's so funny because I've met travelers all over, and then we talked about, oh, where'd you go here? Where'd you go there? Oh, you went to Pi. And people call it the Pi hole.
Yeah.
Like, you literally get sucked in. Like, it has an energy about it. I can't explain it any other way. Like, it is a really cool place.
It is. And it's like cafes that make you feel like you're in the secret garden, and everybody's just in hippie pants and like doesn't care and is like super warm and open. And it just like, there's something about it that just makes you feel peaceful and at ease, and like you're safe to heal. You know what I mean? Like I really did some major healing work there on myself, and it was like, I can't go back.
I'm so glad.
Okay, I'm gonna do a travel speed round with you.
Okay. Let's do it.
I feel bad for doing this to you because I'm notoriously really bad at them. Anytime I do an interview and people ask me some questions, I'm like, I don't fucking know. But I have faith in you. It's going to be great.
Okay.
Favorite country that you visited? You can just pick. It doesn't have to be like top. Just like one of your favorites.
Okay, let's say Vietnam.
Okay. Favorite food that you've had while traveling?
I'm a sucker for noodles. Any kind of noodles, doesn't matter the country. Could be Italy, could be Thailand.
Oh,
noodles.
I love it. So like pasta or got it. Yeah.
Pasta of every culture.
Yeah. Any type of noodle. We're noodle enthusiasts.
Yeah, that's kind of a cheat answer, but
Oh, I love it. That's a great answer. Carb. One place you haven't been but you can't wait to go.
South America, I really want to go to Machu Picchu in Peru, and I haven't been south at all. Like I haven't even been to Mexico. So
Really?
yeah, really. So
But I want to definitely do South America. Maybe that's the next place that our paths will cross.
Oh, that would be amazing.
I mean, I need to see you before that, but like on our next travel adventure. Although my boyfriend is definitely not stoked about me going to South America because he knows I have a Latin problem.
We'll have to be on our best behavior.
Okay, best hostel that you've stayed at?
Paris Taylor is definitely up there. Cocoon in Hanoi, definitely up there. I'd say between those two.
Nice. Yeah, Cocoon, I remember you telling me about it. It was down the street from the hostel that I was staying at in Hanoi. What was special about it?
They just had these like very nesty little beds, and like you said, Hanoi was such a hub for people doing day trips coming and going, and I had about 2 weeks that I was teaching English, so I was really staying put, and I kind of just became like the mayor of the hostel. Like I would go out and come home at night and sit out front on the front step, and like the bars would start closing and people come home and be like, where'd you go tonight? What'd you do? Oh, you've been gone for a couple days. Hey, how's it going? And like was just my most outgoing self, and like loved it there, and everyone knew me.
Amazing. I love it. Do you have a worst hostel experience?
Oh my God, a worst hostel experience. Actually, I will say that the hostel I stayed in Pi was pretty terrible. Yeah, it was a fairly new hostel, but the beds were like literally not metal, but like wooden doors that you were sleeping on.
Oh, no.
It wasn't really well kept, and there was this one girl in our room, and probably it was just this experience that was really it, but there was blood dripped all over the floor, and she was in her bed whimpering, and we were finally like, are you okay? Like, what's going on? Turns out she had gotten in a motorbike accident because some stray dog like ran in front of her motorbike, and like she like fucked up her arm, and she didn't want to take care of it because like she was going home in a couple days, and like literally and it was just like the whole place was just a mess like this, and we were just like, oh fuck, do we have to stay here?
Oh my God, why didn't you change hostels?
I don't remember at the time, honestly. I think she left shortly after, but it was just, yeah, the whole place was just, it had a weird, Pi was great, but like that place specifically had a weird vibe.
I remember, I loved my hostel, and I'm gonna blank again, the fucking name of it. It was like magical. It was kind of like it was farther removed. It wasn't like super in town. And we had this like amazing view of like fields and fields and fields and mountains, and we would do yoga out there in the morning. It was just like my happy place.
Sounds idyllic.
remembering.
Well, I fucked up. I need to share some recs with you.
Yeah, I know. The one thing I've ever like learned before you.
Yeah. Oh, stop.
I love it. Okay, so I'll let you choose. Do you want to do your biggest travel FML story or your biggest relationship FML story?
Well, I feel like the story that I need to share is the story that you talked about in your book, which I wasn't too excited to read about because it was a little cringy for me.
Yes.
I'm sure your avid fans and readers remember, but just a little recap. On one of the first nights that we went out with the whole hostel, I made out with a gay guy.
Okay, who, by the way, was really hot. So let's preface with that.
I also did not know he was gay, and we had gone out to, we definitely had some sort of sangria with dinner, and we had gone out to some sort of weird bar that gave us like bucket drinks before we ever went to this club.
Yeah.
And so we were a crew, we were having a good time, and the two French Canadian guys showed up late and joined on, and one of them I immediately was like, oh, he's cute, like, chatting with him.
Yeah.
We went to the club, we danced, we did a whole thing. Fast forward, I wake up in the hostel not feeling so hot, and there are all these girls in my room that were in the bathroom talking shit. So-and-so did this, so-and-so made out with so-and-so. And I walk in and they're like talking, and they're like, yeah, well, how was your night? And I was like, yeah, like we had a great time. And they were like, yeah, you made out with so-and-so. And I was like, I did? Like, what?
Oh my God.
And then they're like, yeah, and he's gay. And I'm like,
you're like, I'm just over for this information right now. Can you let me coffee first?
Yeah, and then it gets crazier because like later, I don't know if it was that day or the next day, we went to that it was like a German bar, but they had like big Gatorade pitchers with wine in them almost, and
it was called oh God, I'm gonna butcher it, La Vela Negra.
Yes.
Into the black sheep.
Yeah. And it just felt like a German beer bar, but we were drinking wine in a massive jug. Anyway, he came up to me, I don't know, waiting for a drink or something, and he was like, hey, and I was like, hi, and he was like, we made out, and I was like, yeah, I learned. And he's like, I'm gay, and I was like, yeah, I heard that too. And he's like, okay, cool, so we're cool, and I'm like, yeah, we're cool. And then like went back to the table, and all those girls from my hostel were still just like looking at me and whispering and talking shit, and I was like really upset. And I remember like running into the bathroom with you and Rhonda, and you like totally gave me a pep talk because I was like, I did a drunk thing, I don't know what you want from me. Like,
I fully remember that. And then Rhonda and I were so pissed because we were like, that's so high school, why are these girls even giving a shit? And then me being drunk, I remember turning around and being like, I'm gonna go defend my friend, this is it. And went over and said something like snarky to them and was just like icing them out of the group the rest of the night, which was a total bitch move, but I was drunk and like
it's a good friend move. I appreciate it.
And then so we went to the club after that, which was my favorite club, which was Razzmatazz.
Right. So we went to the club after that and we were dancing. I don't know if that was the night that they were playing like Avril Lavigne and we were singing and we were having a great time. And then that guy came up to me again and started to like dance near me and then try to like dance on me. And I'm kind of like, this is weird. And then I realized there was a guy like hovering next to him, kind of watching him, like trying to dance with him, but then he was trying to dance with me, and basically got the vibe that like he was trying to use me as his buffer to like, instead of saying no to this guy that was coming on to him, he's like, oh, I'm just gonna go dance on her, which maybe is how we made out in the first place, and I was oblivious and didn't even know. But I was like, what the fuck, dude, you can't just use me like that. And the whole hostel's talking about me, like
a piece of meat.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, maybe if we were friends or something and like you were like, can you help me get rid of this guy? Totally different story. But that was my FML, from Barcelona.
Side note, I don't know if you know this, but when I went to Canada, it was for work, and I saw the Torontos there.
Yeah.
We went to dinner, and one of the Torontos was like, hey, do you remember the girl from our hostel that lived in Denmark? And I was like, yeah, that was the bitch that was really mean to Melanie. And he's like, yeah, we've been dating for like 5 months. I was like, what? She lives in Denmark. And he was like, yeah, we've been doing long distance and fly back and forth. And they ended up breaking up, and she like completely turned into a different person, and it was some like catastrophic, like epic breakup. And I was like, see, you should have listened to us in the first place. But yeah, wild that they ended up, I mean, that's so random to me.
so random. And like, I don't know, she was causing drama from the get-go. So like, if that's your type, then good luck to you.
Oh my God. Well, I want to formally apologize that your biggest travel and relationship moment FML story ended up in a book for the end of time.
Oh, you got to be famous somehow,
As she brushes her hair off her shoulders. I love it. Oh my God. Okay, so do you want to let people know where they can follow you, or would you rather stay anonymous?
I don't really care. I mean, like you said, all of your followers are hardcore stalkers as it is.
Right,
So.
they probably already know, and they're probably famous, but you
Yeah.
have a really epic travel page, and you do post some really great shit. So what's
Thank
your
you.
Instagram if people
Yeah,
want to
it's Let's Go with Melmo.
Yes, and not Mallory. Melanie.
Yeah.
Officially been revealed on FML Talk.
Oh boy.
And can we erase it? All right, my love, I am so glad to know you. I'm so glad to call you a friend, and I'm so fucking happy I bumped into you on the streets of Barcelona in 2017. So thank you for being here.
The feeling is mutual. Thanks so much for having me, and I hope I see you somewhere in the world soon.
Oh, yes, until our next random adventure together, girl. Cheers.
Cheers.
Okay, it is about that time. We are going to hop into your FML stories.
Hey Gabrielle, my name's Katie and I would like to share with you my FML story. Okay, I was 17 at the time and I was dating this guy who was cheating on me and telling me it wasn't true, even though I knew it was because he was very open about sleeping with other people. Well, he was dating another girl at the same time he was dating me, and I decided I was going to break up with him. I was tired of his disrespect, so I broke up with him on Valentine's Day. Shortly after, I found out I was fucking pregnant, which was a surprise because I'm very safe with sex. Anyways, his bimbo of a girlfriend messaged me and had the audacity to ask me if I was pregnant, which, of course I am. Like, I'm not going to hide it. Then she continued to say that her and sperm fuck are going to be the parents of my kid. Not even asking, just, we're the parents. Like, you're too young and immature. It was none of her goddamn business, and I knew that. So I decided to delete all social media platforms, block every number connected to them, and live my life being a fucking badass single mother. It has now been 4 years, and he has maybe seen my son 3 or 4 times. The government is garnishing his wages because that's how the government fucking is. I am happily married, and my husband loves my son like his own. That is my FML story, and thank you for listening.
Oh my God, the fucking audacity of the other girl to even put out the notion that she would be the mother of your child that was literally in your stomach. I cannot even imagine what that must have felt like, and what kind of people think that is okay in any fucking world. And kudos to you, girl, for making through it, staying strong, and for finding someone who values you and loves you and your son like it's his own kid. Blessings in disguise, because you have a beautiful little baby boy, and keep rocking it, girl. Good for you.
Hello, Gabrielle. This is Cindy, and here is my FML story. Since I was 15 years old, I was always second choice to every guy I liked over the years. Friends with him, but never more. The final straw came in the summer of 2012. I reconnected with an old middle school friend. He had told me he had always had a crush on me and that he had just left his girlfriend. He was my Javier, my hot and heavy romance, that eventually became the biggest mistake of my life. My suspicions were correct. A month later, in a private Facebook message from his girlfriend, she had told me he was cheating on her with me. I continued seeing him for another few months despite that, in hopes that he would finally choose me. I told him I loved him at the end of the year, only for him to dump me, leaving me in devastating heartbreak. After a period of much-needed healing, I met the love of my life, Mr. E, through mutual friends. We have been together for the last 7 years, counting 8 this coming April. He has always made me feel loved, secure, and very much desired. And he has always made sure every single day that I am never fucking second.
I love it. Cheers to Mr. E, girl. But I want to touch on something you said because I think that so many of us go through this, and that's waiting and accepting things that we know aren't okay because either A, we think we can change them, or B, we are hoping they will eventually choose us. And let me tell you, the only way you're ever going to change someone, I mean truly change someone, is by really demanding what you want and then walking away if they can't give it to you. Especially when I was growing up, my whole younger dating years were dating these broken, men that I needed to fix. And it was a pattern for me. And it wasn't until I got older and realized that it wasn't my job to fix them. Guys, like, you have to clean up your own side of the street and your own fucking trauma before you bring someone else into the picture, because that's when the catastrophes take place. And as far as, I hear so many stories of people saying, oh, I was just waiting for him to choose me and hoping that he would eventually choose me. And like, hello, did you read my story with Javier? Like that was essentially what was going on. But like, hello, I should never be standing here waiting for someone to choose me. You should be running and jumping through hoops at the chance to have me. And if you had me, like really had me, and you fucking lost me, I mean, there's damn sure no way that there should be any waiting for you to choose me after that. It goes back to what we were talking about at the beginning of the episode, in knowing your worth, and not just knowing it, but demanding it. Like, this is the hard line. You either fucking raise yourself up to meet the bar, or we're not even going further. And it's really about that internal self-love and self-respect and knowing that you're not going to settle for anything less than that. And if that means being alone for a little while, fucking be alone. It's not until we raise our own vibrations and our cup is filled on the inside and we are stoked on fucking life just with ourselves that we're going to attract that other person that's going to add to that and match all of the things that we feel about ourselves and that we want to give to someone else. And that's when the real fucking magical relationships happen. Next week, you guys, it's been a minute since we've done a solo episode. And I've been getting a bunch of DMs about different topics that y'all want to hear. So next week, we are going to dive into a solo episode that is all centered around abandonment, fear of abandonment, how to get through that, how it manifests in your life. I have some really great insight that I want to share with you guys, some great stories, and we're gonna dig into a solo episode, just you and me. Until then, make sure you guys are subscribed so you never miss an episode. As always, make sure you're keeping up with us on Instagram at FML Talk for all the fun behind the scenes goodies. If you are posting pictures in your merch, hashtag FML Talk and FML Talk Boss Babes, so we can see it and share it either on the stories or maybe even choose it for a feed post. We are in the works with getting some new designs for some new merch. I can't fucking wait for you guys to see them. I think we outdid ourselves this time. And as always, if you want to submit an FML story, go ahead and send us a recording and we might pick you to play it on the show. I will see you all next week, and until then, remember to know your fucking worth. Cheers, guys.